Hi, ladies and gentlemen. All right, this is round three, so I'm just going to get right into it. You guys know the expectations at this point. You're listening for information that will help you write the gist of the story: who, what, where, when, why, how. But above all, your answer should include what side of the argument that this author is taking. Okay. We're getting towards the end of your sources. There's one more video source after this. And by the time you listen to that one, you should have some sort of idea on what your opinion is on this topic. Okay. So let's get to it. Do We All Deserve Gold? Setting Kids Up to Fail by Vivian Diller. The singer and activist Harry Belafonte confesses in his new autobiography, My Song, that he learned a thing or two about raising kids. I wanted to give my children all they wanted, all I hadn't had. In doing so, I may have deprived them of what they needed most, the grit and the tools to take on the world and make it their own, make their own way. Sorry. Surely Belafonte, like most parents, wanted the best for his kids, but he rightly asks if it is best to reward them for just showing up. I have been thinking on this issue since Michael Corrin, host of Canada's national news program Arena, asked me to comment on his country's new approach to kids' sports. He told me that instead of awarding first, second, and third place winners, all participants would soon be receiving trophies, win or lose. Convinced this change stemmed from overly protective and narcissistic parents, or trophy makers who would win big by such a move, I answered, I'm not sure this is good for Canadian kids, or for that matter, kids anywhere. I went on to talk about the pros and cons. Awards can intensify competition, impact self esteem, get parents too involved, and add tension among coaches. But they also teach kids about winning and losing, about success and failure. I left the interview reflecting upon the uh, general trend toward overpraising children and the real world they will eventually face as young adults. I'm going to take another time out. You guys know I don't usually do this. Who am I kidding? You guys know I stop all the time. I know it drives you guys nuts. You guys need to remember this paragraph. This is a really important paragraph. This lists out reasons that you can use in your outline later on. It's specifically talking about pros and cons, intensify competition, impact self esteem, get parents too involved, tension among coaches. Those are all great reasons that you can use in your outline. I promise, but not really. I won't interrupt again. So I'm starting right here. In New York Magazine's cover story, The Kids Are Actually Sort of All Right, Noreen Malone writes how today's 20 somethings are struggling in the cold world after enjoying childhoods filled with warmth and support. A millennial herself, Malone writes, our parents tried to see how much self confidence they could pack into us, like so many overstuffed microfiber love seats, and accordingly we were awarded clip art certificates of participation just for showing up. Outside of collecting dust and decorating childhood rooms, have these plaques and trophies served any real purpose? Malone believes these awards have had some long-term value. Self-esteem, self-esteem among young people in America has reportedly been rising since the 70s, she writes, and it's now so dramatically high that social scientists are considering whether they need to find a different measurement system. We've broken the scale. Clearly, all that praise we got growing up, win or lose, must have really sunk in. For me, the problem isn't the profusion of positive reinforcement kids get nowadays, but rather the failure to distinguish the accomplishments that deserve it from those that don't. And whose responsibility is it to provide the endless high fives? Coaches, schools, or parents? Stanford researcher Carol Dweck offered her thoughts about this issue in the New York Times piece, Too Much Praise is No Good for Toddlers. After studying children's coping and resilience mechanisms for over 40 years, she says too much praise may lead to less resilient children. Acknowledging children's everyday achievements, she says, will likely have negative repercussions or consequences on their motivation to work towards them. Parents should take away the fact that they are not giving their children a gift when they tell them how brilliant and talented they are. Dweck doesn't discourage praising kids altogether, but suggests focusing it more on their approach to difficult tasks, their ability to strategize and concentrate, the kinds of skills Belafonte wishes he had emphasized while raising his own children. Perhaps if we offered the gold, silver, and bronze for actual achievements, kids would learn lessons that better serve their needs as adults. Perhaps if we let them lose and teach them to congratulate those who win, we would help them build the motivation and endurance needed to face real life challenges. For example, sustaining a long term marriage or securing employment. Two very elusive or rare trophies in today's world. I'm sure having once been a professional ballet dancer, now a psychologist, 58, and long retired, has skewed my point of view. Competition and rejection were daily experiences, not at home, that is, but in the world of professional dance. By age 10, critiques were commonplace. That pirouette was terrible, I was told by my teachers. Practice until you get it right was the mantra or chant of choreographers. By the time I was a teen, I knew that having talent was not a guarantee for success. Discipline and repetition were equally important. I lost roles. I earned others. I eventually toured with a dance company. My parents enjoyed watching when they could and clapped along with the rest of the audience. But I did not grow up constantly hearing that I was the best, not at ballet, finger painting, or anything else. The result? A fierce determination to do my best at whatever I chose to do. Thinking about this issue, I am reminded of those rules of life that made the rounds a while ago, credited to Bill Gates in a speech he gave to high schoolers, but more likely originating from Charles Sykes, author of Dumbing Down Our Kids. These rules address how our feel-good, politically correct teachings are creating a generation of kids set up for failure. Instead of trophies for all, perhaps handing participants a copy of these life lessons would have more long-lasting value. The ones I would include are, life is not fair, get used to it. The world will expect you to accomplish something before you feel good about yourself. If you think your teacher is tough, wait till you get a boss. Now, you guys know I like that one because you guys know I have that sign in my room. Okay? And you guys know what sign I'm talking about. Your grandparents had a different word for burger flipping. They called it opportunity. Before you were born, your parents weren't as boring as they are now. They got that way from paying your bills, cleaning your clothes, and listening to you talk about how cool you think you are. In some schools, they have abolished failing grades, and they'll give you as many times as you want to get the right answer. This does not bear the slightest resemblance to anything in real life. My note, that is 100% true. Life is not divided into semesters or marking periods. You don't get summers off, and very few employees are interested in helping you find yourself. Do that on your own time. I'm interested in helping you find yourself, though. We can chat. Your school may have done away with winners and losers, but life has not. We need look no further than the 2011 World Series for the value of earning trophies for true achievements. The St. Louis Cardinals were unlikely candidates to even get to the playoffs. 10.5 games out in August, they were down to their last strike twice in the 6th game of the World Series. But with grit and grace, they hung in to eventually defeat the Texas Rangers. No doubt the championship trophy meant a lot to the team and the fans, but it makes me wonder, had these players been awarded medals as kids, win or lose, would they have had what it took to earn the huge one in the end? All right. So the gist, what is this article mostly about? Complete sentences. If you want me to take a look at it before you submit it, give me a shout. I'd be happy to look at it for you. All right, I'll talk to you again. Bye.